Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel. In this video, we shall conclude our discussion on literature mapping. I hope you can still remember everything we talked about on literature mapping in our previous video. Now let's continue our discussion about literature mapping rather. You see, when searching for literature for your projects, literature mapping is one of the key strategies that enable you to do that because it focuses only on literatures that are significant to your work. What do I mean by this? After you have your topic you want to work with, you go online to search for resources to download in form of journal articles. You understand? But like we said in our previous video, there are a lot of informations online, which includes informations that are relevant to your work and the ones that are not relevant to your work. But your ability to be able to lay hold or download or make a decision to download the ones that are relevant to your work is called literature mapping. And that's the reason why we say is one of the key strategies that enables you to focus, is one of the key strategy rather, that enables you to download the relevant literature for your projects, because it's only focused on relevant literatures that are significant to your study. It doesn't have business with you surfing the internet. It doesn't have business with you stuffing your mind with different kind of informations. It doesn't have business with you considering or looking at different kind of journal articles you see online. But the interest of literature mapping centers only on the things, the literatures, the journal articles that are relevant to your work, that will enable you to write a quality research project. I hope you understand. And that's the reason why it's a strategy. You understand? Everybody has a strategy to whatsoever they are doing. Research to us is strategy. You understand? Academic research writing has a strategy. And one of the strategies in academic research writing is literature mapping. And as a matter of fact, it is the first strategy, because without you downloading, or let me say your inability to download relevant literatures that are pertinent to your area of interest, then definitely whatsoever you are going to write on is not going to be of quality, because there won't be any sequential knowledge structure, and you won't be able to link whatsoever you are trying to write on to what has already been existent, what people has already written before, that is the existing body of knowledge. That's why we say, where in research projects we have contribution to knowledge. That is, what is your work contributing to existing knowledge? And what do we mean by existing knowledge? That is the existing literatures in your area of interest, or those things that people has written on before, those things that people have worked on before. So that's what contribution to knowledge is talking about. That is, what is your own research article bringing to the table that is new and extremely different from what has already been in existence, that we now add to what has already been in existence. All right, I hope we all understand. Okay, now let's move to the benefits of literature mapping. Literature mapping possesses a lot of benefits. Yes, it possesses a lot of benefits. Before we talk about the benefit, I want you to know one thing. Literature mapping could be tedious. Yes, that's one fact about literature mapping. It could be tedious. In fact, it's not it could be, it is tedious. That's it. It is tedious. Because before you download a journal and you are certain that it is relevant, you understand? You know, At a glance, you should be able to ascertain that a journal is relevant. Then before you now start evaluating them into different sections. You remember in our previous video, evaluation, that is, you dissect the informations in the literature you downloaded, you dissect them into different headings, and then you evaluate them and interpret them. The place of interpretation is the place of you writing your comments or your review. There is an heading for that, where you decide, is it relevant? Is there a gap or something? We are still going to discuss more about that. You should be able to identify if a literature is relevant to what you want to work on at a glance. In our journal downloading series video, we talk about this, how you can easily detect if a literature will be relevant to what you want to work on using the abstracts. I remember the elements. I hope you still remember the elements that we'll talk about them. And what do I say? You look at the topic, you look at the purpose, you look at the objectives, you look at the method. Those 4 things are the things you want to look at in your abstracts. The abstract, if you download a journal article, after the topic and the names of the author, the next thing that you see is the abstract. The abstracts consists of those informations. So easily, that's the first step. Easily, you should be able to decide from those things that you will see in the abstract that, okay, I can include this in my work. Then after that, you download and then evaluate the information in those journals by putting them in a table, a graph, or a diagram. You understand? Under different kind of headings for you to evaluate them, interpret them, and then make a sound decision that, yes, you are going to include this in what you want to work on. Okay, so if you've forgotten, please go through our journal downloading series video again so that you can refresh your brain. Okay, let's return back to the business of the day, the benefits of literature mapping. Number 1, it provides a concrete evidence of understanding and interpretation of your research field. It provides a concrete evidence. It provides a concrete evidence of your understanding and interpretation of what you are writing on. That is your research field, your research interest, or your topic. And what do I mean by this? When you map out your literature, it shows to your supervisor, you understand? It shows to your supervisor, your colleagues, or anybody that you want to present your mapping to, that you have the adequate understanding of what you want to write on, or what people has already written on in your field. You see, as a matter of fact, literature mapping gives you the first level of knowledge and understanding that is required for you to successfully write whatsoever you want to write on in your area of interest. You understand? Because after you might have detected the relevance of a literature through the abstracts by checking those informations we talk about, and then you begin to evaluate them by dissecting those informations into table. You do for the first literature, second, third, fourth, up to 50 literatures. You understand? You see, a lot of things will have been formed in you. Your eyes will have been opened. Your mind will have been more enlightened than when you have those ideas in your head and then you were trying to structure it into a workable research title. Or even beyond, after you might have structured your ideas into a workable research title. You understand? So mapping out your literature is a proof, a concrete evidence That yes, you now have an understanding. You have an adequate interpretation of the things that are already been done in your area of interest. After you've mapped out your literature, it will be easy for you to speak to what you want to write on. It will be easy for you to say one or two things about what you want to write on. And you are going to talk about it in an expert way. You understand? Okay, for instance, if your knowledge about it, about what you want to work on, before your literature mapping, at the rate of 1 to 10, is at the rate of 2 before. After your literature mapping, at least your level of knowledge will have increased from 2 to 6 or 7. You understand? So whenever you talk, or probably whenever your supervisor or the people that you are showing your mapping to or your work to are asking you question, you'll be able to respond intelligently. And once you are responding to it and show them your mapping, you see, it is an evidence that you've gone to do your work. You've done a diligent work on what you're trying to work on. Then number 2, it enables you to discover the pattern that are hidden in your research area. It enables you to understand or discover the pattern that are hidden in your research area. You see, after you might have structured your research topic, it is not possible for you to understand or to know at glance. Now let me use the word understand. To know at glance everything that has already been written in your area of interest. It is not possible. You can only know that with the help of a literature map. And while you are doing this, it also reveals a pattern in the writing of people. Do you understand? It reveals a pattern in the writing of people. Let's take, for example, I, as a researcher, I am interested in writing on sustainability. The only way I can understand or I can discover the pattern at which people has written on sustainability before, the only way, I repeat, the only way I can understand and discover the pattern at which people has written on sustainability before is for me to do a literature map. Because the literature mapping will reveal to me the different topics, dimensions, diverse dimensions of topic that people has written on sustainability before. Then the different perspective at which they wrote those papers from. There are diverse perspectives to which you can write your work. It enables me to discover this pattern. I want to write on sustainability. In what way has people written about them before? Have they written about them empirically before? Literature mapping will enable me to do that after dissecting those informations through evaluations under different kind of heading in a table. Or probably they are just position paper or conceptual paper. You understand? Or a bibliometric analysis. Or probably if they've written empirical paper there on them before. In what sector do they attach them to? You understand? Is it the manufacturing sector? The energy sector? You understand? Small and medium scale enterprises, different kind of sectors. Literature mapping enables you as a researcher to discover this pattern, this trend, the area, the scope. Understand? The scope at which people or researchers has written about those things before. And what do I mean by scope? That is the length they've gone to research your area of interest. And the last benefit we want to talk about in this video is that literature mapping helps you to identify gaps that are pertinent to your research area. Literature mapping enables you to identify gaps that are pertinent to your research area. What do I mean by this? After you discover a pattern, that pattern will also lead you to establishing the gap. You know, the pattern, like I said the other time, establishing a pattern enables you to know the extent, the scope, the area, the length at which people has written on your area of interest. After you might have discovered that, then you will be able to establish a gap. That is that, okay, so people has done this, they've done this, they've done this, they've done this, they've done this. A lot of people has done this, and this is a pattern. And this is the extent to which they've done it. But they've never considered it from this particular angle before, which is a fresh angle that you are interested in, or probably you are not even interested in before, but you discover while reviewing your literature through literature mapping. You understand? That you discover, and then you now pick it and add it to your idea, to what you want to work on. You understand? A gap make your work to be unique, because it makes your work to be unique in such a way that it makes your work to stand out from the crowd. That is what others has done before. And it is the gap that you are covering in your work that leads to the fresh area of contribution to knowledge. That is your own particular contribution to what people has already done in your area before. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, so literature mapping enables you to identify gaps that are pertinent to your research area. Now, the next thing I want to show you are the different kind of examples or different kind of ways you can map out a literature. The different kind of ways you can map out a literature. Remember, I said it could be graphical, it could be diagrammatic. That is, it could be in form of a diagram. Sorry, it could be diagrammatic rather. That is, in form of a diagram. And then it could be in form of a table. What I will be showing you is a literature map done in a table. You understand? And even in mapping out your literature in table, it also comes in different kind of ways, because it depends on what you are interested in working on. Okay, let me show you the example or different kind of examples of a literature mapping. Okay, let's start from this. This is an example of a literature mapping. Remember, I said while you are mapping a literature in a table, you extract the informations in your literature under different headings in a table. Now, these are the headings: author, region, indicators used, and remarked about it. Now, this one is particular to what that person is talking about, or probably what the particular person that is writing, that is working on this, what the person is interested in writing on. A typical literature mapping does not, in a table format, does not have to be this. It contains different kind of elements. There are some that contains much more information than this. As you see, under the author section, it consists of the names of the authors. It's broken down into region. That is, the first paper was written in USA, same as second paper. Third paper is written in Germany. Fourth paper is written in Pakistan. Now, indicators used. What do they mean by indicators used? That is, the variables that are used in measuring and analyzing what they are working on. You see, for the country level variables, I hope you can see, country level socioeconomic and demographic data is used to develop social vulnerability to environmental hazard. No, I can't see the topic here because the topic is not here. Look at the remark section. It said they identify distinct spatial pattern. I hope you can see. They identify distinct spatial pattern in the social vulnerability. They also notice that the most vulnerable countries are clustered in metropolitan countries in East and South Texas and Mississippi Delta region. This is what the person that is doing the literature map discover. This remark, under this remark, you talk about what you discover in the paper. Do you understand? Author names consist of the name of the author. Region consists of where the paper was written or published. Indicators used refers to the variables of measurement used in the paper. Then your remark, what you discovered about the paper. What's your conclusion? What you discover about the paper. The same thing, I hope you can see the second level too, the names, the region. They also make use of country level, socioeconomic status, gender, housing, whatever. And then this is what they observe. I hope you can see. I don't want this video to be long. You understand? To be more than 20 something. Okay, let's move to the second one. This is another example of a literature map. Another example entirely of a literature map. And what can we see here? Let me zoom so that we can see very well. Sorry. What can we see here? This consists of a report, methodology, review, results, comments. The comment is the same thing as the remark that we saw here. You understand? The remark that we saw here and the comment that we can see here, they are the same thing. You understand? How we can see that in this literature map, we do not have the name of the author. We do not have region. But what do we have? We have reports. It begins with reports. You know, this literature map is also peculiar to the work of the person that is doing this. It's not a general thing. It's peculiar to the work of the person that is doing this particular thing. Do you understand? So we have a method here, methodology. In our previous literature map, I hope you can see, indicators used. These indicators used just consists of the variables that are used. Consists of the variables alone that are used. But this methodology, of course, you are going to talk about the variables a bit, and then the method of data analysis, the method that is used to analyze those variables. Though the variables represent the forms, or they determine the data that you'll be collecting on that particular work you are writing on. And it is all data that you are going to analyze. And for every data collected, there is always a modality of analyzing them. You understand? So that's the methodology aspect. As you can see, I can't really see what's there. Sorry, that's how I saw it when I was making research for this video. You can see in the methodology section, it says, associate portion of an industry that sells energy efficient service or products to the energy efficiency industry, includes transportation and heating. I'm very sure this particular work is going to be a qualitative paper. You understand? Because it's not talking about, I can't see any scientific method here. You understand? Sorry. Then we have the results here. The results of the first paper. Total employment of 2006 of this. You can see the results. Then you can see the comments. The comment talks about the thing that is discovered in the study that was mapped or reviewed. Then the last thing I want to show you is a more robust. Okay, before I show you this, this is another one. This is another example of a literature mapping. How you can see is another example of a literature map. You see how you can see the informations that are here. We have the authors, we have the year and the country that is done. We have the topic. How you can see the heading. Sorry, how you can see the heading. That's the topic, the objectives, the method, the findings, remark or gap. You understand? The author here, I hope you can see the names of the author, the year, and the country where those paper was done. You understand? The topic, look at the topic here. Provincial government tax rates on economic growth in Canada. The objectives, to the study examined the effects of tax rates on economic growth. The method used, panel data regression, was used. This one doesn't show the variables. That is the indicator use, as we saw in the first literature map that I showed you. And the findings there, the result showed a higher corporate income tax rate is related to slower economic growth. And what's the gap discovered? The study covered the scope spanning from 1997 to 2006. This is that the findings arrived at during this period of study might not still hold true in the present economy. You understand? How we can see the remark. This is what this researcher realized or observed in this particular literature that was mapped. Okay, there is another important one that I want you to see. At least I would say so far, this is the most, in fact, is the one I love the most, because I believe that it is quite detailed. So that's the reason why I said it is the one that I love the most. I hope you can see. Summary of main observation is cited articles by authors. That's just what the person put as the heading. But it's the same thing as literature map. You can also call it summary of literature review. But I prefer to call it a literature mapping. How you can see here, what can you see? The author's hypothesis or question, dependent variable, independent variable, control variable, data, period, method use, results. The only thing that this doesn't consist of is the remark or the gap or the comments. How you can see the name of the author and the year it was done, the hypothesis or the question. You see, ESG information disclosure is beneficial to improve stock liquidity. And the dependent variables, I hope you can still remember in our previous video, the dependent variable used in this study is stock liquidity. The independent variable used is ESG. We also have our control variables. We've talked about dependent variable, independent variable. We are yet to talk about control variable. There are still other variables. We have control variables, moderating variables, mediating variables. We will talk about them in our subsequent video, because this video are not meant for them. You see, for the control variables, they are still part of the variables. You see, they use return on assets, research and development income, size, age of the firm, audit, cash or income. You see, the data period, the period at which the data was collected from 2011 to 2020, from where it was collected on China from Bloomberg. And then what is the method used? Baseline regression mode. You see the results, share liquidity of companies with better ESG disclosure. Operating experience has increased significantly compared to those with poor ESG disclosure. So you see, I hope you can see everything depending on what the the researcher is working on, or what the researcher is trying to map. So how we can see the beauty of a literature map. It helps you to break down all the literatures that you're downloading in a pictorial form of a diagram, so that you can have an easy evaluation of those literature at a glance. You understand? That is, it helps you to summarize all those literature. Plenty literatures that you might still be taking time to read. How many journal? Probably, let's say that each journal has 20 pages, and you still want to cover 50 journals. You understand? Literature mapping helps you to break down those high volumes of information. It helps you to bring them down so that you can have a concise view about them. I hope you find this video interesting and enlightening. So, if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on your notification button, like this video, drop your comments or your question in the comment section. Do not forget to share with your colleagues, with your friends, or anybody you felt that is going to benefit from these things that we are discussing on. You understand? So bye. See you in the next video.